Declan Fraser, the 2022 Super 2 champion, has had a rough year. I don't hate him, but you gotta say something because it's like he's obviously not quite good enough. But they say because, he won the Super 2 championship, he's not doing that badly, he got a top 10 at Albert Park. Albert Park was like the second round of the year. He just has not been anywhere near close enough to where he should be, right? A good rookie year means qualifying in the top 10 a couple times, getting one or two top 10s. The best that Declan Fraser is doing is beating Jack Smith in the championship, and that's just not good enough. That's why he's not going to be getting a seat next year, because he's just not doing a good enough job. He's in a Tickford Mustang, and I got parity and all that, but Matt Payne's done a better job. Declan Fraser in a 888 Commodore beat Matt Payne in a Grove Nissan, and Matt Payne's younger. He's ridiculously talented. My first question mark around Declan Fraser was the MW Nissan in Super 2 in, 2021, because I thought he's just not quite there. And then they're like, he's going to be in 888 next year, and I thought, oh, really? Decker was in the MW Nissan, he had the crash at Bathurst, and I don't think that was the biggest problem for him. He wasn't even like the second best guy at MW that year. 2021, so they had Ojeda and Everingham, and Ojeda was trying to battle for the championship. Everingham was trying to battle for the championship, because, we knew both of those guys were capable of doing it. I think it just came down to money or something, and that's why he ended up at 888 and why he ended up with the opportunities he had. There was the super cheap wild card for Bathurst, so they gave him that, and that was because he was just doing such a good job. They did. They got, 8th at Bathurst in 2022 with Craig Lowndes. Great job. I didn't expect it, but they were just plucking away at it, doing everything they needed to do, and boom, best result by a wild card. Then we come to this year. It didn't start well. He crashed at Newcastle, but he was also in the top 15. Good start to the year. Then they go to Albert Park, and he gets a top 10, so good start to the year still. And then as the year goes on, he just didn't improve beyond that. We just kept on getting more of the year. That's all we got. Tracks where he probably should have done better, he didn't. He got caught out at the Taylor Bend crash with Cameron Hill and Will Brown, and all of the shenanigans that went on. And then at Gold Coast, he had a miserable round. Apparently, there's a bunch of issues just outside of his control. I'm just not impressed. I think I saw a comment somewhere that said, Declan Fraser's doing such a good job. He's going to do such a good job in his rookie year. Jake Kostecki did really well. Well, not really well, but he was as good as Thomas Randall in 2022. They had the drama at the end of the year, and they get rid of him. I don't know what it was. No one knows what it was. Some sort of altercation between Scott Pye and Jake Kostecki. And that's just not the image that Tickford wants. So they get a good guy like Declan Fraser in, who's, a competitive racing driver, has won races, got podiums, done well in Super 2, and, was 888's guy. They've already got their future sorted at 888, so Declan's looking for a drive. So he gets the Gen 3 Mustang, and that's a great opportunity. It's just the comparison, you cannot excuse parity, because Matt Payne drove a Ford too, and drives a Ford too. So it doesn't matter. Of the Ford drivers, it's just Matt Payne and Declan Fraser. He just didn't do a good enough job, alright? Matt Payne did a ridiculously good job this year, and has done everything right. He's not quite there, but Declan Fraser, further away from that. You wonder if it's Tickford, right? Because Tickford's been like this, where some years they do not have what they need to do. Declan Fraser is clearly the fourth car, just like Richie Stanaway was in 2018. He is clearly the bottom of the pecking order, and there are things around it, like you put your best mechanics, you put your best engineers on the car that's most likely to win, because you want it to be like that. You don't want to have your best driver compromised because he doesn't have the best engineers and mechanics. But at the same time, you also want your whole team to do this. So I can imagine it can be quiet. This didn't get done properly on this car, and it led to some issues. and that's what you got to do to make sure that each car is the best that it can possibly be. And maybe they go through a few mechanics or a few data engineers and stuff like that. I don't think Declan did a good enough job. You can't expect him to beat James Courtney and Thomas Randall and Cameron Waters, because it's Thomas Randall's gazillionth freaking race. He's done a heap of races, and Declan Fraser has not. Maybe it wasn't really quite ideal this year, the way it came about, but I can't help but feel that Declan Fraser is where the blame should lie for the performances of the driver. Qualifying hasn't been great. His best result was 14th, and I'm pretty sure that was at Albert Park. And his best race result was 10th, and that was at Albert Park. It's not good enough. He's been better in the last few rounds, but better isn't good enough. They've made a business decision where they're going to have 2 cars next year because they think that that's what they need to do. Like Declan Fraser seems to be a nice guy, a good guy, but the fact of the matter is he is not performing to the standard that maybe he should be. You need to prove that you're better than the guy you beat last year, and that was Matt Payne, and he's not. They're both in Mustangs. The cars are closer than ever, and if just going based on forwards, he's not beating the other Ford rookie. And I'm sure he'll get a decent co-drive. He'll get a co-drive somewhere, because it often seems to be the case for main game drivers. As soon as they're out of a drive, the next year somebody will pick them up.